Hi, I'm Shaine and welcome to the Boxing Coach. In this video, I'm going to show you the most common mistakes in your boxing stance, why they're bad and how you can correct them. Your boxing stance is one of the first things a boxer needs to learn to perfect. It looks easy, but when someone's trying to take your head off, everything can fall apart. It's amazing how many boxers have a poor stance, and it can be the difference between getting knocked out and deflecting a shot with ease. Let's get into it and I'll show you how. Footwork. It's rare to find a boxer with perfect footwork, but the ones that position their feet correctly, move, balance and punch much better. This is because foot positioning is key to balance, footwork, head movement and punching. Most mistakes occur in your footwork than any other area of your stance. However, footwork is the most important skill in boxing, so you will want to go away and practice this. Often, boxers stand too linear with their back foot directly behind their front foot. Always have your back foot out to the right, slightly if you're in orthodox, and to the left if you're in southpaw. This position allows for a firmer base for balance and also allows you to engage this rear hip properly into your shot. When you move in your boxing stance, you want to make sure that you maintain this gap between your legs. Don't allow them to become too linear. Often make the mistake of having their back foot in the incorrect position, either having it pointing directly towards 3 o'clock, starting with the back heel on the floor, or even having the foot extended too far behind them. My back foot is pointing towards 3 o'clock. I can't drive and engage my rear hip with full rotation. I want my back foot pointing towards 2 o'clock in an orthodox position, and from southpaw, I want to rotate it from a 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That way, I can engage the hip with more mobility. If I'm starting with my rear heel flat on the floor, once again, I'm limiting the amount of drive I can get from this rear hip. I want my back foot to be raised up 1 inch or 2 off the ground, back heel. Therefore, I can drive and engage that hip with more power. And if my back foot is extended too far behind me, once again, I'm limiting the amount of range I can get within my shot. I want this back foot to be tucked under just underneath my rear hip, therefore I can drive and fully extend into my shot, maximising my reach. Not only that, but having your back foot in the wrong position will also make your movement a lot less fluid. If I've got my back foot wrong, it's dragging behind me, just can't move as if everything is in the correct position. You'll often notice boxers with their front foot pointing towards 12 o'clock. This is no good, as it encourages me to be square on, offering a huge target here with my torso. Not only that, but having my front foot pointing towards 12 also limits my ability to use my hip into my lead hooks. I want this front foot pointing towards 2 o'clock in an orthodox position. That way I can really drive and engage my hips into my hooks. And 10 o'clock in southpaw. Sometimes boxers don't bend their knees. They become too stiff. This makes it harder to move, take, defend and throw a punch and balance. Relax your knees, dip them ever so slightly, and make sure your weight is on the balls of your feet. You often see boxers with their feet too wide apart, and sometimes too narrow. This affects your balance, ability to move, punch, and defend. You want your feet just wider than hip width apart. If you take a look at my hips when my feet are here, I can drive and rotate fully into my shots versus my back foot is extended too far behind me. Take a look at my hip here. Can't get the same reach as if my legs are just slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Finally, when it comes to footwork, boxers are either too flat-footed or too high on their tiptoes. As you can see already, when I'm too high on my tiptoes, it's really hard to balance. Not only that, I'm going to burn my calves out extremely quickly. And by starting off flat-footed, I'm going to slow down my footwork and not be as agile as I can. Gently soften your knees. This will stop you from rising too high up on your tiptoes. And move your weight onto the balls of your feet, ready to drive you into action. And as we said earlier, your back foot wants to be raised off the ground, roughly 1 or 2 inches, ready to drive that rear hip into your rear hand shots. By having your feet parallel, knees gently softened, weight on the balls of your toes, your back heel raised up 1 or 2 inches, you can move fluidly, punch and defend comfortably at all times. Once you've got your feet in the correct position, you want to make sure that your body weight is central and if anything favoured towards the back ever so slightly. This is so that your weight is evenly distributed. With your weight central and slightly back, you have more responsive footwork, and with just a slight shift in your weight distribution, you can throw any shot comfortably with power. You often see boxers standing too square on, offering their biggest target area on a plate towards their opponent. You want to turn your front shoulder in towards your opponent, narrowing your torso. And like we said earlier, make sure your front foot is not pointing towards 12 o'clock and turn that in towards 2 for orthodox and 10 for southpaw. Stay like this when you move. Don't get drawn in to becoming square on or losing composure with your feet. Stay relaxed and keep your defence nice and tight. Don't confuse the tightness with tension. Often you'll see boxers tense up and their elbows will flare out, again offering a huge target here to get hit. Relax your elbows and bring them into your ribs, protecting your chest. You often see boxers with their hands too low. There's no point having your fists below your chin, unless of course you're someone like Lomachenko trying to draw someone in to counter-punch them, or you're Floyd Mayweather with lightning fast reflexes. But obviously if you were, you wouldn't be watching this video. So, get those fists up and protect your chin. Having your fists up means you'll protect yourself from punches that you don't see coming. Punches come faster than your reflexes, especially when they're coming from combinations. So, you want to make sure that you've got your guard up, that way you can protect yourself against punches that you see coming and also the ones that you don't see coming. The rear hand wants to be pinned to your cheek. My rear hand here is resting below my chin level. As you can see, I've got a big open target. And when those rogue hooks come that I can't see, I'm fully exposed to getting knocked out. I want my rear hand to be raised up and pinned on my chin here. And I mean keep it pinned to your chin. I don't want it all the way out here, still raised. It might look like I'm defending myself. However, once again, when those rogue hooks come, if my hand isn't resting on my chin, I'm not going to be able to absorb any of my opponent's power. And the shot's just going to transfer straight into my jaw. And as you can see, my lead hand is down. I'm still offering a huge target for my opponent to hit. One thing a lot of boxers don't realise is the psychological advantage to having your hands up. If you've got a nice tight guard, your opponent isn't going to want to throw punches towards you because you look ready for action and they know you're going to defend most of them. However, my hands are all the way down here. All my opponent sees is a nice, big, fat, juicy target to hit, and they're going to throw as many punches as they can to try and connect to this target here. Keep your hands up. You sometimes see boxers with their hands in random, awkward positions. For example, the backs of their palms facing towards their opponent, or even completely open. I call the praying mantis stance. If I've got the backs of my fists pointing towards my opponent, 1, I'm blind in my vision, and 2, if I turn side on, you can see I've got a big open target for those rogue hooks to come around the side. Similarly, if If I'm stood with my palms facing towards my opponent, again, big open target to get hit, both from the front and from the side. Not only that, but both these positions make it really awkward to throw proper hard punches with fluidity. You want your fists folded in ever so slightly, with the outer edges of your fists pointing towards your opponent. Now that everything's in the correct position, you want to ensure that your chin is tucked down behind your fists. You often see new or nervous boxers with their chin exposed up high, as they want to be able to see clearly over their gloves and see the punches coming. But this puts you in a very dangerous position, and trust me, you do not want to get hit in the chin. By tucking your chin behind your guard and looking over the tops of your eyes, you protect yourself, not only in your stance, but also when throwing shots as well. And finally, we save the best to last, relax. The most common mistake people make in their boxing stance is being too tense and not relaxing. It takes a lot of effort to learn to relax in your boxing stance. However, relaxation is the most important thing in boxing over everything. When you're relaxed, you move, punch, defend, and overall perform much better. You improve your relaxation by going through the motion slowly, time and time again. Get into your stance, practice how it feels, be really mindful of how your body should be. Learning to only contract the muscles that need to be contracted and relax the rest of your body. By mindfully going over all of the practices slowly and paying strong attention to how it should feel, you learn to relax. By repeating these patterns over and over and over again, all of the movement comes together more naturally. I'd really recommend that you go away and watch my video on the most common mistakes within your footwork and how you can correct them. Thank you for watching. These have been the most common mistakes within your boxing stance. If there's anything else you'd like me to go over, please don't hesitate to contact me on social media and I'll help you out as much as I can.